I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I rarely go into other than for a couple of charities. I met her in the front door. She was about 60 years old, and this is like 22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me. And we had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department store. We had this great chemistry, and a few minutes later, we end up in a room, a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door. So she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes, you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President, can I
think of it.
I know you're recounting what she said, but.
Donald Trump went on CNN last night and apparently decided to test out his new material in front of stupid MAGA supporters, which apparently filled the audience there as he was retelling this sarcastic account of E. Jean Carroll's encounter with him from a couple decades ago, where he has since been found liable of that sexual assault or abuse that didn't happen there, and he owes her $5 million. So apparently it's something worth laughing about, considering everyone knows what type of things he's talked about that he likes to do. He continued talking about it.
Mr. President, can I?
No, but think of it.
I know you're recounting what she said, but Mr. President.
But let me just, if I could, because you asked the question.
This was a
just so
jury,
you understand,
though.
if I was walking in at the park, because I was very famous then, and I owned the Plaza Hotel right next door, and I owned buildings around it, I'm not going into a dressing room of a crowded department store. Then I say, if she was being raped, and by the way, they said she wasn't raped. Okay, that was her charge. It wasn't.
They found that you sexually abused her.
No, what? Say what? They did. They said he didn't rape her, and I didn't do anything else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who the hell she is.
But Mr. President,
I don't know who this woman
can I
is.
ask you, given your recounting your version?
I don't know who, and I tell you this.
But Mr. President,
are you ready?
Can I
swear
ask
on
you
my
because
children, which I'd never do. I have no idea who this woman. This is a fake story, made up story.
Fake made up story that he continues to tell and talk about over and over again, and somehow thinking that these, I guess, laugh lines for these folks. Check out the image of some of those audience members that decided to laugh at these types of things as he told them. I guess he's testing it out because this is how you run for president in the United States of America in 2023. But there's more to it though, because look, he's testing out those lines. Caitlin Collins tried to stop him there a few times, but he just kept steamrolling through. But outside of that, we talked about locker room talk before when this whole thing started, Yasmin, and also then other countless charges that came from other folks from his past. And people said, why are you guys always lying? Witch hunt and all these things. Now somehow, they were serious about it then, but now somehow it's turned into laugh lines, comedic things, and the way that he can try and make people laugh about, again, sexual assault. Many of these folks, I assume, have been near it before, but it's laughter when it comes to your political enemies. Stephanie Grisham worked in the White House, and this turned from the types of things people were talking about before the election to the once he's in office, following that same lead. Look at what she had to say about it.
Staffer that he worked for me, and he would request for her to be on constant trips. When it wasn't her turn, I would rotate the staffers to go on foreign trips, especially. He one time had one of my other deputies bring her back so that they could look at her ass, is what he said to him. And I wrote about this in my book. So this is nothing new for me to be saying publicly, but she, I sat down and talked to her at one point, asked her if she was uncomfortable. I tried everything I could to ensure she was never alone with him. I did take it to a couple of different chiefs of staff, including Mark Meadows. And, I don't like Mark Meadows. Everybody knows that. And, I think at the end of the day, what could they do other than go in there and say, this isn't good, sir? And, Donald Trump will do what Donald Trump wants to do. So I don't know that I even blame them. When you're dealing with the president of the United States, again, there's no HR group.
So as president, Yasmin, he continued the same type of process. Folks like Stephanie Grisham and other staffers and people around, advisors, I guess cabinet members, had to keep their staff members, the ones that he was looking for their asses for, away from him. Again, in the White House, as the president of the country. What's your thoughts here first before we get to more?
Yeah, I mean, that clip with Stephanie Grisham, it kind of goes back to the Access Hollywood tape. When you're a celebrity, they just let you do whatever you want to do to them. And I guess when you're president, even more so, right? And there's no HR, there's no cameras in the Oval Office that are going to out you for something like that. Trump got up on that CNN stage and did exactly the same things that we expect to see from him. He didn't do anything surprising. He didn't say anything that I personally didn't expect him to say. But the part that I found significantly more disturbing is the audience laughter. Who laughs at a story like this, especially someone especially when it's regarding someone who is literally just found out for being guilty for sexual abuse by a jury. He's not talking about allegations anymore. He's talking about a crime that he actually committed against another person. And it is sad, but there really are some people out there who will just never believe that Trump has ever done anything bad or wrong in his life. And these people are people who tend to believe that anyone who accuses somebody like Trump of any kind of wrongdoing is only doing so because they're after his money, not because he actually committed any wrongdoing. And you can't really argue with those people because their thinking is already illogical. They won't respond to reason because they've already decided that they don't want to. They think they're above it, and because they understand the system or whatever better than the rest of us.
The process a lot of times goes from denying it completely to then accepting it and saying, well, actually, that's the way things should be. That's always the way these have worked out.
Yeah.
By the way, a little bit more from Grisham. She wrote in her book about the way he would approach this, which here it is one-on-one. The book relates to how Trump had insulted Carroll's looks during a rant in the Oval Office before telling Grisham to her face, you just deny it. That's what you do in every situation, right, Stephanie? You just deny it. Well, he's following that same line, and apparently he's right, because again, these folks laughing about like they're at a comedy show. AOC spoke out about it though as well, and she's not laughing about it, but that's why they hate her, because she takes serious things serious. Watch.
What we saw tonight is a continued demonstration of the sacrifice that women and survivors of sexual abuse across the country of all genders experience, and the sacrifices that they make in order to come forward and challenge power. I know you said earlier that you will not comment on the platforming of such atrocious disinformation, but I would. I think it was a profoundly irresponsible decision that put that person at risk in front of a national audience, and I could not have disagreed with it more. It was shameful.
And that's what angers a lot of these folks, because she says very simple truths like that. By the way, for everyone who's still laughing or think that this is it's so Donald Trump. So is he God-fearing the way you guys say he is? Is he a great Christian man? Is he a family man? These are all things you guys say about how awesome he is and reasons why they like his character. So when he reveals who he really is and then you accept it, which one are you buying into? Is it the Dr. Jekyll or the Hyde? Which one of these folks that you love so much in the character of Donald Trump is the one that you're supporting? Do you support him because he admits to being this kind of sexual abuser? Or do you support him because you say he's such a great businessman, which again, proof shows that he's not? Or that he's a God-fearing man, which again, proof shows that he's not. So who is it that you really like? You might as well go ahead and throw some support behind George Santos, because he's just as a fraud and con man as Donald Trump is. Maybe you'll stack up behind him. But the one problem with Santos is that he dressed up in a dress a few times and went in drag. Then that's why his ass is getting railroaded. And then everyone else in the Republican Party wants nothing to do with him.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting too, because their reasons for liking somebody like Trump are going to change depending on whatever the other person's argument is. There is no sense of cognitive dissonance. There is no sense of hypocrisy or anything like that, because it really is just in this moment, this is who I need him to be, and this is who I choose to believe that he is, right? A lot of people will say, oh, he's a great Christian and he's a family man, even though he's had however many wives and he's cheated on however many wives, and now he's been convicted of sexual abuse. But there's another hand of people who believe that even though he may not actually be a good Christian, he's going to help the Christian movement to get moved forward. And in a lot of ways, he has done exactly that. So he is the imperfect Christian vessel, isn't he? He was sent directly down from God to be this person and to push the United States of America in a more Christian nationalistic direction. And he is doing that.